There are 5 things that should happen in just about every truck crash case as soon as it's signed up by an attorney. And so if you're an attorney and you're starting to handle these claims for the first time, I want you to be aware of these 5 things. And if you're someone who either hired an attorney or you're looking to hire an attorney because you've been involved in a truck crash case, be aware of these 5 things so you can check and see that they actually know what they're doing. So with that in mind, let's jump right in. The first thing that you want to have an attorney do in any truck crash case is to send what is called a spoliation letter. It sounds like spoilage, but it actually is spelled a little different, but it has the same concept, which is to say, hey, listen, party, truck company, driver, you possess and have in your custody evidence, and you need to make sure you preserve it. Don't destroy it. Make sure you safeguard it. Make sure you take steps to protect it. And this is going to help you in the event evidence is destroyed. And so you want to make sure you put them on notice just as soon as you can. The second thing that every attorney should do in a truck crash case is make arrangements to have the vehicles inspected. And when I say inspection, I don't mean having an attorney go and look. I mean having someone who is a trained professional who can look for marks on the vehicle, look for paint marks, can kind of ascertain maybe where the damage to the vehicles occurred. So you want that for not just the truck and the trailer that were involved, but also for your client's vehicle. You want to see where the point of impact was. You might be able to use an accident reconstructionist to figure out what speed the vehicles were traveling, approximately where the vehicles made contact. So it's one of those things you need to figure out where the vehicles are located. You need to get permission. You need to notify the other side, and then you want to go and get your expert lined up to do that inspection. The third thing that every truck accident attorney should do is to do a download of the various systems that are located within the truck. So that goes with the black box or event data recorder. And you can see a video about how we use that, and we were able to use that data to win an otherwise difficult case. There may be an airbag module that has information that can be downloaded. Lots of trucks use telematics systems. Pretty much all automobiles these days, or automobiles pretty much for the last 15 years at least, are going to contain downloadable information that are going to give events such as speed, hard braking events, throttle, all sorts of information like that that can be useful to kind of recreate and to reassess what happened. And that's going to be very important to make sure everyone stays honest. A fourth thing that every attorney who's handling truck accident cases should do is do an inspection of the scene. You know, photographs don't always do justice to a scene, and you can't necessarily evaluate the scope of how long something is, how narrow or how wide it is, how fast other vehicles are traveling, and what the line of sights are. What obstructions may exist. But going to the scene can also provide some very helpful forensic evidence if it's still available. There may be tire marks that show that braking occurred. You may be able to see how long the brake marks are, which will help an accident reconstructionist kind of piece together what happened based on that and other information that's available. There might be some debris from the crash, such as like broken headlights or tail lights, and that might show where a point of impact was, especially when it's kind of added to everything else. There might be yaw marks or other gouges in the roadway that can show where certain parts of the crash happened. And that can all be used to kind of put together a picture of what happened. And that circumstantial evidence can tell a better story oftentimes than very biased witnesses. Finally, the fifth thing that every attorney should do when they're handling a truck crash case is to talk to the witnesses. Now, you don't necessarily want to become a witness yourself if you're an attorney and start talking to witnesses, because If it turns out that they're adverse on some point, then that could draw you in as being a witness. What we like to do is have the same investigator who does a scene inspection for us. We also have that same investigator go and talk to other witnesses who may have observed the crash or the immediate aftermath. And it's so important because a lot of times, especially with a truck crash case, it may be several months, if not years, before those witnesses are actually called upon to give a statement. Their memories may have faded, and it's helpful to have a written statement that they can look at and say, okay, this refreshes my memory of what happened. Now I remember this, and then they're able to testify based on that. So these 5 things at least have to be considered in every single case. It may be the case that it was a relatively minor collision with minor injuries and it doesn't justify the expense. But in every other case, especially one that has significant injuries, or if it's a death case for certain, you want to make sure, if you're an attorney, that you're doing these 5 things. And you certainly want to make sure, if you're looking for an attorney or you have an attorney, that these 5 things are done. And if you don't have an attorney, you do not want to do these things yourself. The stakes are just too high. You need to get legal counsel. That's really the only advice I can offer. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and give this video a like. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, and I'd love to hear from you. And I hope you stay tuned for more videos. Thanks.